even now, let's just say we get 100 women and put them in individual rooms, and we say, yo, look, no one's listening, right? Tell me what your actual dream is and what will make you happy. You know, say how you feel. No one's listening here. 95 of those women, 95 of those women are going to be like, you know what? I want a man that is, you know, a respectable man. So a man that I love, admire, and respect, that is doing something good with his life, and I want him to take care of me and give me children, and you know, so that burden of work is removed from her, so she can be at home, relax, and truly in her feminine energy.
But
And
that
only
sounds,
yeah, go ahead.
that sounds very much rooted in traditional ideology.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's traditional.
Yeah, so
100%.
I
Yeah, yeah.
mean,
So there's like modern and then traditional.
yeah,
So I would say everything that I've said now, yeah, is traditional. But the thing is, that's what, when women look for a partner, they don't look for a modern. They don't necessarily look for a modern partner. They look for traditional.
some women do.
But exactly, but some exception doesn't make the rule, right? Most
But what
women
is that
are
based on? What
in
statistic is that
terms
based
of
on?
relationships, right? And this is what.
What statistic is that based on? That most women pick traditional traits. Like, where is that from?
Oh no, that's not a statistic. That's a fact. That's rooted in biology. Meaning, I'll say traditional traits such as a man has to be protective. He has to be tall. He has to have a certain physique.
Those are stereotypes as well.
I mean,
Are you saying
that's
that
biologically is you know.
the biology is different for everyone?
So a woman is not ever gonna look down on a man. Meaning, physically, if he's shorter,
That's
he's
not
not gonna
true.
look. So, I mean, you could say that, we could say whatever we want, but the
But
reality,
my point is that there are very tall women and there are short men. So the things with the stereotypes is, you say, oh, it's biology, but the reality is that genetics are not something that are the same for everyone. But I think what it's more is ideals, like gender ideals. And I think that the idea of like women, of men having to be protective and tall and looking a certain way, they're again, I think personally, they're quite archaic ideals of what men had to be for what women used to like kind of the ideals for what the ideals of women used to be, which yes was like you said, homemaker and someone who didn't engage in the workforce very much. And I also just wanted to touch on something that you said earlier about
sure.
suffragette,
Mm-hmm.
like resistance to the suffragettes, and I think that made me think that, but like that's just disruption to the social dynamic. Um, that's not. I wouldn't say that the people rebelling against the suffragette movement was really like that doesn't mean that what the suffragettes were doing was wrong. It doesn't mean that what the suffragettes were fighting for was, I mean, without the suffragettes, we wouldn't be able to vote. We wouldn't be able to. Women wouldn't be able to work. They would still be seen as very, very much not really human beings, to be honest, I think, in society, because they would have just been undermined to the extent where they were literally just seen as, there was literally an act called the Married Women's Property Act that had to be passed for that, so that women could not be seen anymore as men's property. So I think that the idea of kind of like women having to be this idea that this idea is that in every woman's soul she secretly wants to be a housewife, right? It's called the feminine mystique, and it's written by someone called Betty Friedan, and
That's like, no matter what that's like a fact. It's a reality. Like, there's of
it's a
course there's a
social
small.
viewpoint.
It's not so. It's just like it's a wiring that, look, males have certain wiring, females have certain wirings. Doesn't
But
matter if we live in like 2022, right, or 2020, like 30. No matter how continue, how long we continue kind of living and progressing, there's certain wiring that you can't kind of deactivate. You know, there's certain wiring, same way, and you know, women look for tall men, they do, because you said something like, oh, women are tall as well. Well, statistics, data will show that tall women, that's like a very few. Naturally, men are usually more taller. Their bone density is more, you know, it's more thicker.
I don't agree with that because I think that actually,
I mean, you can disagree, but I'm saying like this is not my opinion.
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's kind of like, you know, like women have certain traits and physically and genetically, and so do men, that kind of make them a man or make them a woman. But I think that, um,
I think what it is like, the thing is, we live in a world where we say that men and women are equal and they should be equal, and I think that that's kind of the messed up thing with society right now. And it's like, no, both genders provide valuable things, but different things, right? So
yeah,
we, and they complement each other,
okay,
right? So when we try and make men like women and then women like men and like flip the genders, there's like consequences to that. There's repercussions to that,
have you
which
had it?
we're seeing
Yeah,
right now, like
yeah,
bad mental health,
okay,
high divorce rates,
uh,
women unhappy because you know they've been pushed this narrative for the last 50 years